Welcome to Founders Future, a podcast powered by Closers.io, where we dive into the journeys of innovative entrepreneurs and explore the road ahead for them and their companies. I'm your host, Michelle Saeed, and in each episode, we uncover the stories behind impactful ventures, the challenges faced along the way, and the strategies driving their future growth. Today, we're thrilled to have Kirti Shenoy, the co-founder and CEO of Zeal, joining us. Kirti has spent years in payroll and financial services at places like the American Payroll Association and Bank Mobile before launching Zeal in 2019. Based in San Francisco, Zeal is revolutionizing payroll infrastructure with an API-first platform that's raised $27.6 million and empowers businesses to embed custom payroll solutions, handling millions in daily transactions and tackling compliance across 11,000 plus tax jurisdictions. We'll explore her founding story, how Zeal is reshaping workforce payments, and her vision for scaling this fintech powerhouse. So with that being said, let's dive in. Kirti, welcome to Founders Future.
Thank you so much for having me, Michelle. Super excited to dive in today.
Absolutely. On that note, let's kick things off for our listeners. Take us back to the beginning. What specific problem within the payroll or the fintech landscape, perhaps around compliance or flexibility, inspired you to start Zeal?
Yeah, that's a great question. I have always been interested in fintech, financial services, public policy as a whole, but when I embarked upon my entrepreneurial journey, I actually just started off trying to figure out if I could find problems and start businesses to solve that problem. So I went in a different direction from my normal interests and I decided to start a staffing company. It had basically a gig economy company. We had an app in the App Store. We had thousands of contractors that were doing all sorts of shifts. Our specialty was in events and hospitality. So a lot of workers going to things like concert venues, showcases, sampling, and more. And from scaling that business, really noticed the compliance problems that came with handling a large volume of payments for workers. And around the time when I had the gig company, there were a lot of things going on in the public policy arena around contractor misclassification. So we actually, when we wanted to close some of these larger clients, realized that we had to take our 1099 contractor workers and make them W-2 status and actually tax them, handle overtime compliance, handle minimum wage compliance. And that problem space got really interesting. And then me and my co-founder were like, you know what? Let's just go back to our bread and butter, which is building a tech company and actually solving the problem that these staffing companies have around managing high volumes of compliance when they have just like this large workforce that they have to process for. So that's kind of the story of how we started Zeal. It was a gig company turned tech company working on the fintech side and API side to automate those workflows.
Love that. From what it sounds like, you had that aha moment, right? And at that point where it was like, hey, this is something we can totally solve for. Let's do that pivot. Now, for our listeners, let's get into the nuts and bolts and even potential clients that might be tuning in. Walk us through how Zeal generates revenue today as a company. What's the core offerings like payroll API or white label components? How do you structure what you do for clients such as gig platforms or enterprise SaaS companies?
Yeah, when we started Zeal, we started off as more of a point solution. So our specialty was really within payroll and focusing on the gross net calculations, the tax management, paying out those workers and making sure that payroll processing was going great. But since then, we scaled the platform and now we have multiple solutions. So really our new kind of slogan is onboard pay bill for staffing. And we have a slew of solutions like pay cards and instant pay and an invoicing and billing product and an onboarding product and an I-9 product. So we've scaled the platform into a whole ecosystem now. The way that we really monetize is off of a platform fee and transaction fee. We're typically partnering up with a large enterprise that is processing for thousands of workers at a time. So they typically pay us a platform fee, and that includes access to our subset of features, access to our team. We do fun things like white labeled mobile apps and white labeled components for our customers in addition to the API. And then we really make a majority of our revenue off of those transaction fees. So every single time someone is processing a payout, whether that's through a standard ACH or through a pay card or through instant pay, we make a little bit of that transaction fee. And that's the way that we charge. So platform fee and transaction fee. So we really make money as our customers continue to scale, which is the best part. We're really aligned with our customers' growth.
Love that. Now, building on the growth, how are you currently acquiring some of your customers right now? What channels, whether it is through LinkedIn, maybe like your Y Combinator network or referrals, what's been the most effective strategy for landing clients for payroll solutions?
Yeah. So I think this changes every year. What gets you to your first million in ARR and the strategies you use to meet those customers is really different when you try to scale out that business model. At this point, We obviously have a network from VC-backed staffing companies and have been able to acquire companies through there. We attend all of the staffing kind of conferences. Staffing industry analysts hosts a bunch of conferences that we attend. American Staffing Association hosts a bunch of conferences that we attend. So we use a combination of those conferences and webinars to reach different customers. But really, similar to almost every SaaS company and company out there, we are doing traditional cold outbound to customers that are in our target account list. And we've defined the different categories of customers within the staffing realm that we really want to target. And we target them in lots of different ways, whether it's socials, product marketing, conferences, webinars, cold email, dinners, events, lots of different ways of just trying to get in touch with the exact logos that we have defined as our target.
Got it. Now, from what it sounds like, this growth has been super incredible. What strategies on the sales side have been most effective for converting some of these opportunities into long-term partnerships? Are you leveraging events like SIA, gig enterprise partnerships, or your APIs appeal? And are you doing this on your own, or do you have a team built out more on the sales side?
Oh yeah, I totally have a marketing team and a sales team that helps me with a majority of the things. Could
Yeah.
not be doing this alone. And I think there's a lot of things that we've done that I'm really proud of over the past couple years. I really love our emphasis around product marketing and the fact that we really tactically know our market. We know what a gig company needs to do to onboard and pay their workers really fast. And it's very easy for them to understand how they can use our solutions to solve that problem. I really like that we have a clear list of who we're going after, and
Mm.
we've segmented out that list around. We're not trying to sell every customer on every single product that we have. We have specific products that we think are going to help them to solve their biggest problems. And we only want to talk about those things and educate them on those things. So just getting really concentrating around subsetting that market segment and staying in the loop. And I think the last thing that I might share is as you scale yourself as a CEO and now have a marketing team and a sales team that are doing projects and taking calls without you, the best thing that I've really set up for myself, or I guess my marketing leader has set up for me, is a way to stay in the loop on all the deals and all the processes without actually being on the meeting. Every single time a sales call is done and it's recorded, I see that in Slack and I can just pop in and review that material. Every single time someone's looking at our website, I get real-time notifications on that. Every single time someone is searching a keyword such as pay cards or payroll API, I get a ping on that. So it just allows me to stay really in the loop on what's happening in real time. Even if I'm not on every single sales call with the AE, I can catch up and stay in the loop on a large subset of our pipeline without actually being there. So that's been a huge unlock for me as I've scaled myself as a leader.
Love that. Yeah, no, you've created some amazing systems just really around building Zeal. And the growth's been incredible. $27.6 million just raised and being a fresh Series B. For the listeners and specifically some of the founders that are still like starting their journey, if you can share maybe like one bottleneck that stands out, what would it be? Is it attracting maybe like the right types of leads, improving conversion, scaling with your team of 45 members? Like, what are you most focused on solving right now to keep the momentum going?
Yeah, there's projects for every single start of this sales and marketing stack. There's things that we're working on as a team to just increase top of funnel and the exact types of top of funnel that we want. There's middle of funnel projects where we're dissecting, hey, it seems like we're taking 2 to 3 meetings to get this like concept across. What can we do to make that just faster? And I think the big opportunity for me to solve right now is really enterprise. And I think anyone that's in B2B SaaS, you have your standard deals that you go after, and then there's these like giants that you want to close to just accelerate revenue and see that growth and showcase that your product really works for some of these legacy giants. And I think the challenge there is how do you get these like legacy customers excited about the opportunity and excited to trust a startup? And I can give an example of this. We have a product which is a revenue generating payments program, which is where a staffing company can actually make money off of pay cards. We create them this custom branded pay card and we actually share the interchange off of the card swipes and the interest off of the balance in that bank account. And this is a new concept for legacy staffing customers who are used to partnering up with payroll vendors that are probably or pay card vendors that are free but don't give them any of that revenue. Trying to really concisely explain our vision for revenue generating payments and explain to these staffing companies like, hey, this is the new age. A lot of fintechs are doing this. The Ubers of the world are making money off of pay cards and digital wallets. You're behind, and this company that's giving you free pay cards is doing that and taking all that money. So it's like that education element of introducing that enterprise to a really cool opportunity, but figuring out how do you get the right people in the room? How do you stay on top of that process? How do you prioritize the deals that are really serious and going to move forward? I think that's always a challenge, whether you're in my space or any other space in B2B SaaS. So yeah, just wanted to share a little bit of that tidbit of something that I'm working on right now.
Yeah, every founder can relate to that. How do you really create sort of that relationship? How do you really get in front of some of the bigger players out there on the enterprise side? You're not alone in that. With everything that you've accomplished so far and the success you've seen, we'd love to hear about your vision for the near future as you look ahead, especially with that recent $15 million Series B. What's top of mind for growing Zeal over the next 6 to 12 months?
Yeah, totally. So I think I alluded to this at the beginning part of this session, but we are really moving from a point solution to a platform solution. So that is a big project, and really the goal of why we took on that round of funding was really to introduce our customers to lots of different products and to keep our happy customers happier with leveraging us for multiple products and to win net new deals that maybe we weren't able to access because we only had one part of the stack. So that's really top of mind for me. It's been super fun with our existing customers, introducing them to programs like revenue generating payments, whether that's with instant pay, whether that's with pay cards, and seeing our customers leverage us for some of the sexier fintech products, which has been fun. And then net new sales in the market, again, trying to figure out for some of the traditional staffing companies, can we access them by giving them multiple solutions all in one? Our invoicing and billing product is a great example of that, where when our market staffing, it's very much a services business. So it's all about AR and AP, and you pay out your payroll and you charge your customers a 40-50% markup on that payroll. So that invoicing play is equally as important as that payroll play. So just trying to access those types of customers and share that storyline of how can we make that entire invoicing to payroll experience super seamless for you and as easy to work with as possible. So that's been the most exciting thing, and what we want to accomplish here is just trying to see our customers purchase multiple products from us and trying to access new customers that maybe right out of the gate will use us for 2 to 3 products at a time because we just happen to have them.
Love that. Now let's get a bit hypothetical here because I love your passion for just really modernizing payroll and being a disruptor. If you had a genie in the room, you rubbed the lamp, and now you have all these unlimited resources, Kirti, what would you implement immediately to accelerate Zeal's growth?
Oh my God. I think if I had unlimited money, I'd just invest in marketing. I'd do all the marketing that I possibly could do. We've done so much improvements on the marketing side. Like I post every single day on socials with a lot of content that I think will be really helpful for staffing. We do a ton of product marketing across our website. We have a new podcast coming out where I'm going to be chatting with a bunch of staffing leaders. But I think if I had unlimited money, there's endless amount of projects that we could do on customized ads. There's endless amount of sponsorships that I'd love to do at different staffing conferences and entities. There's endless amount of PR that I'd want to do to try to access some of those enterprise segments. So I think if I had unlimited resources, it would just all go into marketing for all the cool things that I want to execute upon.
Love that. Now, one last question because now we're in the lightning round. What's one piece of advice you would give to the founders that are just starting out, especially those that are transitioning from corporate roles into entrepreneurial ventures like payroll infrastructure, for example?
Just to reiterate that question, is it what's my advice for maybe net new founders, or is what's my advice for people that are just getting started?
Yeah, honestly, the way you interpret it, like anyone who's just starting out, anyone who's finding their footing within the B2B SaaS landscape, what's one piece of advice you would give to them?
Yeah, I think in the early stages of building your business, the most important thing you can do is just talk to as many people as possible within that customer landscape to
Yeah.
really understand what the pain points are. For our industry, which is staffing, there's so much jargon that they use, MSPs and working capital. And the faster you can understand the jargon that your industry really uses, and the more conversations you can have to understand what is their tool stack, what are they doing, it's just gonna prime you to build the right sales materials and to talk about the product like you're an expert in the space. I didn't come from a background of staffing, but I've talked to now thousands of staffing companies across the years, and I really think that the messaging that I present to these customers across our marketing materials, across our sales calls, across our social content is really primed to be a language that our industry understands. So I'd say talk to as many people in your market segment as possible, even if you haven't started the company yet. Just really understand what are the industry norms so that you could best prepare yourself to just hit it out of the ballpark and win that trust for your early stage deals.
Yeah, no, absolutely. What a great way to end today's episode. And on that note, that wraps up another inspiring episode of Founders Future. Kirti, thank you so much for sharing your remarkable journey with us today. Your roots in payroll and staffing and really just pivoting into fintech and launching Zeal. You're touching millions of paychecks with an API first platform. And we're excited to see the runway for this year unfold. So to our listeners, if you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe to Founders Future wherever you listen to your favorite podcast. You can also find some more resources and insights at closers.io, where we're dedicated to helping businesses accelerate their growth through trained appointment setters and world-class sales systems. Until then, keep climbing, and we'll see you all on the next